Nandana Braja Janaranjana Jashoda Jashoda Nandana Braja Janaranjana Jashoda Jashoda Nandana Braja Janaranjana Jashoda Nandana Braja Janaranjana Jashoda Nandana Braja Janaranjana Jashoda Nandana Braja Janaranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Jaya Radha Madhava Vrindavan Jaya Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jai Prabhupada. Nitai Gaura Harival, 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 Gaura Harival, Nitai Gaura Harival. Jayam Vishnupada Paramahams Parivrajakaacharya Stotra Shri Srimad His Divine Grace Abhay Charanarvind Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki Jai, Shri Shri Gaur Nitai ki Jai, Shri Shri Krishna Balaram ki Jai, Shri Shri Radha Shyam Sundar ki Jai, Lalita Devi Vishakha Devi ki Jai, श्री चैतन्य चरितामृत की जय। समवेता भक्त वृंद की जय। निताय गौर प्रेमानंदी हरि हरि बोल। जय जय श्री चैतन्य जय नित्यानंद। जय अद्वैत चंद्र जय गौर भक्त वृंदा। जय जय श्री चैतन्य जय नित्यानंद। जय अद्वैत चंद्र जय गौर भक्त वृंदा। जय जय श्री चैतन्य जय नित्यानंद। जय अद्वैत चंद्र जय गौर भक्त वृंदा। So this is a very beautiful and very famous verse from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita that describes Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's purpose and identity as well. The verse is quoted here in Chaitanya Charitamrita, but it's originally written by Srila Jiva Goswami. And in the previous verse, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami has identified this verse as the introduction to Srila Jiva Goswami's Bhagavata Sandarbha. So it's a very powerful verse that restates and explains that famous verse from Srimad Bhagavatam about Mahaprabhu's identity, Krishna Varanam Tvisha Krishnam Sango Pangastra Parshadam. That verse is restated and further explained by Srila Jiva Goswami in this verse, in the beginning of his Bhagavata Sandarbha, which is now quoted by Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami in this chapter from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Leela, chapter 3, called The External Reasons for Lord Chaitanya's Appearance, and it's text number 81. So please repeat. Antaḥ kṛṣṇaṁ bahir gauram darśitāṅgādi-vaibhavam kalau saṅkīrtana-ādyaiḥ kṛṣṇa-caitanyam āśritāḥ antaḥ kṛṣṇaṁ bahir gauram darśitāṅgādi-vaibhavam kalau saṅkīrtana-ādyaiḥ kṛṣṇa-caitanyam āśritāḥ antaḥ kṛṣṇaṁ bahir gauram darśitāṅgādi-vaibhavam kalau saṅkīrtana-ādyaiḥ kṛṣṇa-caitanyam āśritāḥ. Please chant. Antaḥ kṛṣṇaṁ bahir gauram darśitāṅgādi-vaibhavam kalau saṅkīrtanādyaiḥ kṛṣṇa-caitanyam āśritāḥ. Antaḥ kṛṣṇaṁ bahir gauram Ladies. Antaḥ kṛṣṇam bahir gauram darśitāṅgādi-vaibhavam kalo saṅkīrtana-ādyaiḥ kṛṣṇa-caitanyam antaḥ kṛṣṇam bahir gauram darśitāṅgādi-vaibhavam kalo saṅkīrtana-ādyaiḥ kṛṣṇa-caitanyam antaḥ kṛṣṇam bahir gauram darśitāṅgādi-vaibhavam kalo saṅkīrtana-ādyaiḥ kṛṣṇa-caitanyam antaḥ internally kṛṣṇam Lord Kṛṣṇa, bahir externally gauram fair colored, darśita displayed, aṅga limbs, adi beginning with, vaibhavam expansions, kalo in the age of Kali, sankirtana-ādyaiḥ by congregational chanting, etc. Sma certainly, kṛṣṇa-caitanyam unto Lord Caitanya Mahāprabhu, āśritāḥ sheltered. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. I take shelter of Lord Sri Kṛṣṇa Caitanya Mahāprabhu, who is outwardly of a fair complexion, but is inwardly Kṛṣṇa Himself. In this age of Kali, He displays His expansions, His aṅgas and upāṅgas, by performing congregational chanting of the holy names of the Lord. Please repeat. I take shelter of Lord Sri Kṛṣṇa Caitanya Mahāprabhu, who is outwardly of a fair complexion, but is inwardly Kṛṣṇa Himself. In this age of Kali, He displays His expansions, His aṅgas and upāṅgas, by performing congregational chanting of the holy name of the Lord. Purport. Srila Jiva Goswami has placed the verse from Srimad Bhagavatam, quoted in text 52, Krishna Varnam Tvisha Krishnam, as the auspicious introduction to his Bhagavata Sandarbha, or Shat Sandarbha. He has composed this text, 81, which is in effect an explanation of the Bhagavatam verse as the second verse of the same work. The verse from Srimad Bhagavatam was enunciated by Karabhajana, one of the 9 great sages, and it is elaborately explained by the Sarva Samvadini, Jiva Goswami's commentary on his own Shat Sandarbha. Antaḥ Kṛṣṇa refers to one who is always thinking of Krishna. This attitude is a predominant feature of Srimati Radharani. Even though many devotees always think of Krishna, none can surpass the gopis, among whom Radharani is the leader in thinking of Krishna. Radharani's Krishna consciousness surpasses that of all other devotees. Lord Caitanya accepted the position of Srimati Radharani to understand Krishna. Therefore, he was always thinking of Krishna in the same way as Radharani. By thinking of Lord Krishna, he always overlapped Krishna. Sri Kṛṣṇa Caitanya, who was outwardly very fair, with a complexion like molten gold, simultaneously manifested his eternal associates, opulences, expansions, and incarnations. He preached the process of chanting Hare Krishna, and those who are under his lotus feet are glorious. Om Jnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shlakaya Chakshurun Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So this whole world is afraid of God. They fear God. The Upanishads, they describe that the wind blows out of fear of God. The fire burns out of fear of the Lord. And everyone comes to worship God out of fear. If I don't worship him, then something terrible will happen to me or to others that I love. Those who don't come to God out of fear, they come to him to use him in some way for their benefit. They come because they need something. Perhaps it's relief from pain. Perhaps it's material goods. Perhaps it's better health. And in this way, temples, churches, mosques, synagogues, all of these places of worship are full around the world. Everyone is attracted to God, either because they fear him or they want to use him. In fact, so common is this kind of behavior all over the world that historians, anthropologists, they regard this kind of belief in God as one of the markers of the beginnings of human civilization. That when they look at any civilization, even the earliest versions, they dig in the ground, they find some evidence. They always find evidence of some kind of worship of a higher power, of some kind of a ritual, something to bow down before, and what? Placate for our benefit. I want something from them. Krishna describes this attitude in Bhagavad Gita, of course, also. He says, in this way, by cooperation between men and gods, prosperity will reign for all. We offer to them, they offer something back to us. So common is this kind of behavior that if there is one person, if Krishna finds one person out of 1,000,000 who comes to him without fear or need, who comes to him just because they want him, Krishna becomes completely captivated by that person. He looks at that person and he thinks, wow, what is so special about this devotee? He doesn't mind the others. He says in Gita, these are sukriti, right? They're good people. So he appreciates them also. But when he finds someone who doesn't come to him out of need or fear, Krishna's heart becomes captivated. That type of bhakti that is selfless, that is driven only by desire for the Lord, not by desire for wealth, bhukti, not for desire for liberation, mukti, not for desire for any kind of yogic powers, siddhi. Bhukti, mukti, siddhi kami, sakali ashanta. Krishna bhakta nishkama, ata eva shanta. That those who are after these three things, bhukti, mukti, siddhi, that basically encapsulates 99.9% of this world, right? If someone is not after enjoyment, fear, or then they're using God for material gains. If they don't want that, then they want some siddhi. If they don't want some siddhi and they've had enough, then they want some mukti. And so they come to Krishna for that. But when someone comes to Krishna without bhukti, mukti, or siddhi as a desire, that bhakti becomes Shri Krishna Karshani. It attracts even Krishna's heart. Krishna becomes captivated by the heart of that devotee. There's a beautiful incident in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita when Lord Caitanya was spending so many years in Jagannath Puri. Then the devotees would come every year to visit him from Bengal and from other places. And each village would come to meet the Lord and say goodbye to him as well before they left. And they would bring some gifts and offerings from their village for the Lord. And so there's a famous incident between Sri Caitanya Mahāprabhu and the residents of Kulinagram. And when they come forward, Chaitanya Mahāprabhu says something special. He says, I am the property of the residents of your village. Even a dog in your village owns me. Why? Because in your village was born one great devotee by the name of Gunaraj Khan. And in his book, the book is called Shri Krishna Vijay, he has written one sentence. What is that sentence? He says, Eka bhave bandhari joda kori hat nanda nandana Krishna mora prananath. He says, Eka bhave, with one heart, one focus. Joda kori hat, I fold my hands before the Lord. Why? Nanda nandana Krishna mor prananath. Nanda nandan Krishna is my life and soul. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu tells them, because of this line, Nanda nandana Krishna mor prananath, I have become the property of the residents of Kulinagram. In this way, this type of bhakti completely captures the Lord and creates this incredible paradox of he who is unconquerable becomes conquered. Right? Ajita jitopya sita istrilokyam, Bhagavatam says. That the unconquered, a paradox, it becomes a paradox. Paradox, you understand, is not a contradiction. Contradiction just means two things that are opposite each other and therefore are false. This is a form of logical debate. When you show that someone else's view ends in a contradiction, then you have won. This is called arthapatti. Right? It's creating an opposition in their view. This is not a contradiction. This is called a paradox. Paradox means that these two things that come together and they create inconceivability in the mind. Even though both are true, we cannot conceive of it together. This is why it's a very nice translation for achintya. Achintya means we cannot conceive it. Achintya, we cannot think. It's not that it's false or it's a contradiction. No, it's a paradox. So it becomes this paradox of bhakti, that he who is unconquered becomes conquerable by this type of devotion. Of all the different kinds of devotees who display this kind of selfless bhakti, the greatest of all of them are the gopis of Vrindavan. Prabhupada is describing here in the purport. Their bhakti is of an intensity that far surpasses the intensity of other devotees. Why? Because they exhibit a complete dependence upon the Lord. Srila Rupa Goswami explains this very nicely in the penultimate verse of the Nectar of Instruction of Upadeshamrita. That because of this complete dependence on the Lord, not a tinge of personal motivation, they are willing to give up any sense of society, friendship, love, anything outside of Krishna, and able to risk themselves physically and also socially, culturally, in every possible way. Because of that kind of bhakti becomes yet higher, yet more intense in its quality. As one little example, when Uddhav comes to Vrindavan, of course, the gopis, we know, they are very broken-hearted. They have spent, as Srila Prabhupada says elsewhere, he says, after Krishna leaves Vrindavan, their only business is crying for Krishna. So they're naturally very upset when Uddhav returns. But what is striking about that conversation, Prabhupada describes it beautifully in Krishna book, what is striking about that conversation is even as they are suffering so much on account of Krishna's absence, their biggest concern is that Krishna should not find out about our suffering. Why? Because then he will feel terrible about what he has done to us. Can you imagine? When we sacrifice even a little bit for someone, not to mention so much like the gopis did. When we offer some sacrifice, the very least that we ask for, the very least, is that the person they should at least know how much we have done for them, right? No, I don't want anything in return. You don't have to give me any money. You don't have to give me any thanks. But at least this person should know how much I have done. The gopis' love for Krishna is so selfless that even as Srimati Radharani is complaining to the bumblebee about everything Krishna has done against her, she panics. She is concerned. Her greatest worry is that what if this bee goes and tells Krishna what is my condition and what is my complaint? He will feel bad for what he has done. And I do not want to give Krishna even this much suffering. I'm ready to go through so much. I don't want to give Krishna even this much suffering that he should feel bad for what he has done. When any sane person would say, yes, Krishna deserves at least this much for what he has done, right? This is the degree of selflessness that you find in their love. This is, of course, expressed, it's embodied by Sri Chaitanya Mahāprabhu in his Shikshashtakam, when he says, Na dhanam, na janam, na sundarim, kavitam va jagadisha kamaye, mama janmani janmanishvare, bhavatat bhaktira haitaki tvayi. I don't want wealth, I don't want followers, I don't want any kind of material opulence. I just want your bhakti, birth after birth. Actually, there's a very similar verse, very almost identical to this in meaning, in the Mukunda Mala Stotra of King Kulashekara. Right? Kulashekara Alvar, this book particularly, this small book, was very dear to Srila Prabhupada. He started translating it. He would often recite verses from it also, but he wasn't able to complete the translation and commentary. But he translated the first 4 or 5 verses. But Maharaj Kulashekara, he says in this verse, he says, Naham vande tava charanayor dvandvam advandva heto. Naham vande tava charanayor dvandvam advandva heto. Kumbhipakam gurumapi hare narakam napanetum. Kumbhipakam gurumapi hare narakam napanetum. Ramya Rama mridhutanulata nandane pirantum. Ramya Rama mridhutanulata nandane pirantum. Bhave bhave hridaya bhavane bhavayeyam bhavantam. Bhave bhave hridaya bhavane bhavayeyam bhavantam. Very beautiful verse. He says, my dear Lord, I do not worship your lotus feet. Naham vande tava charanayor dvandvam advandva heto. I don't worship your feet for liberation. The word he uses for liberation is advandva, because this world is dvandva, right? It's duality. Advandva means non-duality. He says, I do not want advandva, non-duality. Why? Because I have the best duality before me. Best dvandva. What is? Tava charanayor dvandvam. I have your 2 lotus feet. Therefore, why would I want advandva? That's very boring when I have the best dvandva, your lotus feet here. So I'm not worshipping you for liberation. I'm not worshipping kumbhi pakam gurumapi hare narakam napaneto. I'm not worshipping your feet because I am afraid of the kumbhi paka hell. Right? Out of fear. Remember, out of fear. He says, no, I don't worship you out of fear. Nor do I worship you Ramya Rama Mridutanulata Nandane Napirantum. I don't worship your feet in order to enjoy Rantum in the gardens of King Indra, Nandane, with beautiful women whose bodies are like tender creepers. Ramya Rama Mridutanulata Nandane Napina Rantum. That's not why I worship your feet. What do I ask of you? Why am I worshipping you? Bhave bhave. Birth after birth. Mama janmani janmanishwari. Bhave bhave hridaya bhavane. In the palace of my heart. Bhavayeyam bhavantam. You please stay within the core of my heart. That type of bhakti is that bhakti which is found amongst the residents of Vrindavan, particularly the gopis. And of all the gopis, Srila Prabhupada says here, no one can match the Krishna consciousness of Srimati Radharani. The madness of her love is extraordinary. It is beyond any ability for us to fathom. In fact, so maddening is that love, so extraordinary is that love of Srimati Radharani. So otherworldly is that Krishna consciousness that the Lord is not only attracted by that bhakti, right? Any type of bhakti that is selfless, Krishna is attracted. Not only is the Lord attracted by that bhakti, but He wants to taste it. He wants to experience it. He wants to take her position to experience it. What makes Srimati Radharani's bhakti so extraordinary is that it is further intensified by not only this sense of giving everything to Krishna, but it's intensified by the suffering of separation. Separation from Krishna, Srila Prabhupada explains also in Chaitanya Charitamrita. He says, it is the greatest form of suffering and the greatest type of happiness. It's yet another paradox. Right? First paradox was that the unconquered Lord becomes conquered by bhakti. The second paradox is that bhakti, when it is overcome with a sense of separation from the Lord, called vipralamba bhav, then that type of bhakti is the greatest happiness and the greatest suffering at the same time, like hot sugarcane juice. Too hot to drink and too sweet to resist. Or like good chutney, right? Too hot to eat, too sweet to resist. It's both of these things put together with great intensity. And Srimati Radharani's devotion, when it's already so powerful, when it becomes further inflamed by that separation, then it becomes madness. It becomes too much. And that is what the Lord wants to experience. And therefore, yet another paradox takes place. When He, who is the greatest personality in this universe, Ekala Ishara Krishna, Ar Sab Bhritya. There's one master, that is Krishna. Everyone else is servant. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami mentions this verse in the context of describing Lord Balaram. So he's really making a point that original personality of Godhead is Krishna, Shyam Sundar, who is the Lord of everyone and everything. He now becomes the greatest of all devotees, Srimati Radharani. And this is one of the foundational points, very foundations of Chaitanya Charitamrita. Perhaps you know. Radha Krishna Pranaya Vikritir Hladini Shaktirasmat. This is describing the identity of who is Krishna, who is Radha, and who is Sri Caitanya Mahāprabhu, all in one verse. Radha Krishna Pranaya Vikritir Hladini Shaktirasmat Ekatmanav Api Bhuvipura Deha Bhedam Gatauto Chaitanyakyam Prakatamadhuna Tadvayam Chaikyamaptam Radha Bhava Dyuti Suvalitam Nomi Krishna Swarupam. He says that this Sri Caitanya Mahāprabhu, right? Actually, he begins by saying, Radha Krishna Pranaya Vikritir. Who is Srimati Radharani? She is the transformation of love for Krishna. This is who she is. She is the very embodiment of this love for Krishna. As Prabhupada is saying in this purport, no one can match the Krishna consciousness of Srimati Radharani. Because she is that Krishna consciousness. She's the very embodiment of that bhakti. Radha Krishna Pranaya Vikritir Hladani Shaktir. She's Hladani Shaktir Asmat. Ekatmanav Api Bhuvi Pura. Even though they are only one, Radha and Krishna, there's no difference. Deha bhedam gato. From the very beginning, they have always been two. And now that two has again become one. Chaitanyakyam prakatam adhuna tadvayam chaikyam aptam. They've become one. How? In this name of Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Chaitanyakyam. He is Radha Bhava Dyuti Suvalitam. He has the bhava and the complexion of Srimati Radharani. But Krishna Swarupam. He is Krishna himself. Same point here in this verse. Antaḥ kṛṣṇam bahir gauram. Antaḥ kṛṣṇam bahir gauram. Which is now yet another paradox. Antaḥ kṛṣṇam. He is black on the inside. Bahir gauram. But outside he is golden. It's impossible for someone to be both black and white at the same time. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, no, he's a paradox. In every way, the Lord is paradoxical. So many paradoxes are there. Right? The unconquerable Lord becomes conquered by this bhakti. Separation from Krishna is the greatest enjoyment and the greatest suffering at the same time. Oh, there's one more paradox. You know, when devotees are separated from Krishna, their meditation on Krishna increases in intensity. And we know that when a devotee thinks of Krishna, then Krishna is present. Therefore, when Krishna is absent, he is actually present. The more he is absent in the life of the devotee, the more he is actually present. Because the devotee's intensity of memory grows even deeper, and therefore Krishna's presence is felt even more greatly. Yet another paradox. And that mood of separation is embodied in Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, who is both the supreme Ishvara, Krishna, the supreme personality of Godhead, the Lord of everything, and the greatest devotee at the same time. But there's one final paradox that is the most shocking of all. This type of bhakti that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that Krishna has come to experience, this type of bhakti that he wants to know, so amazing it is. Think about how rare that bhakti is, right? We started with the whole universe worshiping God out of fear and need. And some very rare people in that universe wanting liberation. Manushyanam sahasreshu, Krishna says, kaschid yatati siddhaye. Right? 1,000 amongst one even wants something more than material enjoyment. And out of so many of those, someone is trying to worship and serve Krishna. And some very rare person loves Krishna with that level of purity, of selflessness. And of all of them, the greatest are the gopis. And of all the gopis, the greatest is Srimati Radharani. And that kind of love, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu comes to experience. Right? Krishna comes to experience in this form of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And here's what is most shocking. That as he comes as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to experience that love, he is ready, he is willing, he is eager to give it out freely to everyone. That which is most rare and therefore most valuable, and therefore which should be guarded with the greatest care and should not be shared with anyone. That bhakti of Vrindavan, that Vraja bhakti, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is ready to hand it out for free to everyone. And this is why in this verse it says, antaḥ kṛṣṇam bahir gauram. It's describing that most intimate aspect of Mahaprabhu's nature, of Srimati Radharani and Kṛṣṇa combined. Radha bhava dyuti suvalitam nomi Kṛṣṇa swarup. It's encapsulated in this line, antaḥ kṛṣṇam bahir gauram. And yet, the next line says, kalau saṅkīrtana-ādyaiḥ sma. These two things are not separate in Mahaprabhu's life. The internal and external reasons are not of two different personalities. This is not a situation of bipolar disease. This is one person. Mahaprabhu is experiencing that highest bhakti, and he has developed a method, a desire to give it to the world for free. There's a wonderful episode in Adi Lila where when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is going to, it's actually told twice, this story. When he's going to Benares, at first he arrives in Benares, in Varanasi, and he, as he does everywhere, he's chanting and dancing, doing sankirtana, right? And wanting to give this Krishna bhakti to everyone. Everywhere he goes, Mahaprabhu brings a flood of love of God. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami describes everyone, not just those who hear Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but those who are touched by him, or those who don't even see him, but they hear or are touched by someone who has touched Mahaprabhu. It creates this exponential effect of a flood of bhakti. Everywhere this happens, except in Varanasi. Why? Because Varanasi is overrun by those who subscribe to the philosophy of Advaita Vedanta, of impersonalism, of Nirvisheshavad. And therefore, they are immune from this infection of Krishna Prem. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he's on his way to Vrindavan, and he tells Chandrasekhar Acharya and Tapan Mishra, who are his devotees living there in Varanasi, he tells them, I have come bearing these heavy goods of Krishna Prem. And there are no buyers here. And there is no one to buy these goods that I have come. Therefore, I am ready to give it free. I have to give it free. Because no one is willing to take. This is his mercy, right? This is why Srila Prabhupada's pranam prayers. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi. Right? He's liberating this whole world from Nirvishesha Shunyavad. How? Gauravani Pracharine. By giving the message of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That he is willing to give free. At that time, well, Benares was special because it was overrun by Mayavadis. Now the whole world is special. The whole world is overrun by Mayavadis. Nirvishesha Shunyavadi, Paschatya Deshatarine. The Western countries, even India, everywhere, this Nirvishesha Shunyavadi is there. So therefore, Mahaprabhu, instead of saying, therefore you are not deserving, he says the opposite. He says, therefore I will give you free. Because you don't want to buy, therefore I will give you free. What a business proposal this is, right? If a businessman goes to a place and there's no buyers, then you think, let me go somewhere else where there's a better market for my goods. No one is buying here, so let me go there. It'll be a better market. Mahaprabhu says, no one is buying here, therefore let me give it free. From a business perspective, not very intelligent, right? But Mahaprabhu is not a businessman, right? He has come to give that which is highest through this process of sankirtan. And this is Mahaprabhu's special gift, this process of Harinam Sankirtan. You see, many people have taught kirtan. Kirtan is a very ancient process. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Satatam kirtayanto mam yatantascha dridavita. Devotees are always glorifying me. They're doing kirtan. The root kirt means glorification. But this process of sankirtan is Mahaprabhu's special gift for our world today. It is a process that is uniquely suited for our time and for our age. Because this sankirtan means chanting together. And Prabhupada translates this as congregational chanting of Krishna's holy names. This is the final paradox. Mahaprabhu has taught us that the more we give Krishna prema, the more we get Krishna prema. This is a contradiction. The more you give something, the less of it you have, typically, isn't it? If I give away all my Mahaprasad sweets, then I don't have any left for myself. But Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is providing this ultimate paradox. He promises, the more you give, the more you get. Because the process I have come to teach is not kirtan, not chanting in the quiet isolation of your cave. No. The process I have come to give is sankirtan, the process that can only be done together with others. The process of jnana is a solitary process. The process of karma is also a solitary, it's a very vertical process. I worship the devas, they give me something. Everyone else I don't need. But bhakti is a horizontal process. It cannot be done except in community. We cannot do it except together. And so this is Mahaprabhu's special opportunity, that he is taking that which is most rare and most limited, and he's opening up that circle to invite everyone to dance with him in Rath Yatra. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada concludes this purport of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, of the Chaitanya Charitamrita. He says that those who have taken shelter under his lotus feet are most glorious. Most glorious. The opportunity we have today in this Krishna consciousness movement, we should not take for granted. We should not take it as ordinary. Sometimes, because of Prabhupada's mercy, it can seem very easy. Come to the temple, have darshan, right? See the Lord, have prasad, go preach, do some service. Very easy, very simple, and anyone can do it. And because anyone can do it, and therefore it is easy, therefore our tendency to think is that it is very cheap. We take it for granted. This is human nature. If something is expensive, then we think it's very valuable. If something is difficult to understand, we think it is very deep. Right? This is a common technique in the academic world, in the scholarly world. If someone says something very, very difficult to understand, everyone thinks, wow, he must be very learned. But I cannot understand it. Therefore, he must be very learned. Why? Because I'm so intelligent. Therefore, if I cannot understand it, imagine how intelligent he must be. Right? Similarly with wealth. If something is very expensive, we think, it must be very valuable. Even if that person is cheating us. So therefore, Mahaprabhu's process is problematic for many people. Because they think it is so easy to perform, it is so inexpensive to do. Therefore, it must be cheap. But no. It is the most valuable thing. Something we ought to remember, remind ourselves of every day. As Prabhupada is saying in the last line of this purport, those who have taken shelter under his lotus feet are glorious. One day, people will look back on this period in history and they will write books like Chaitanya Charitamrita to describe the activities of the Vaishnavas who have walked the earth at this time. Scarcely will people be able to believe that someone like Srila Prabhupada walked this earth. For us, it is very easy. A few of us have met Srila Prabhupada. Others know those who have met Srila Prabhupada. But future generations will speak of him like we speak of Srila Jiva Goswami, of Narottam Das Thakur, of Shyamananda Pandit. We will not be able to believe that they once walked this earth. Scarcely will people one day be able to believe that personalities like His Holiness Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj, like Indra Prabhu, like Kadamba Kanan Maharaj, like devotees such as this once actually walked the earth. We live in very, very special times. Mahaprabhu's movement is not ordinary. It is the greatest gift. And that gift is encapsulated by Srila Jiva Goswami, by Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami in this verse. Antaḥ kṛṣṇaṁ bahir gauram darśitāṅgādi-vaibhavam kalau saṅkīrtana-ādyaiḥ. Right? Kalau saṅkīrtana-ādyaiḥ kṛṣṇa-caitanyam āśritāḥ. Thank you all so much for your attention. Hare Krishna. We have about 5 minutes. If there's any questions, comments, thoughts that anyone would like to share, please feel free. Yes, Prabhu? Please wait.
Thank you for sharing all the paradoxes. It was a spin 360 degree. My question, Puji, in the beginning, you started like people reach to Krishna, God in need and fear, and then one who approaches Krishna, then for bhakti, that Krishna sees that he's very special. But what about, the sadhakas who have both the things? So my question is, what is now Krishna perceiving me? And then what should I be doing, to get out of need and fear?
Yes, very nice question. So Prabhupada explains this in a purport in Bhagavad Gita. You know that verse, api chet suduracharo bhajate mam ananya bhag sadhureva samantavya. So Prabhupada explains in the purport to that verse, he says that a devotee has a sadhaka, someone who's trying to become a devotee, has two lives. One is the material, what is the word he uses? I forget the exact word. He says one is the material life or situation, and the other is the spiritual life. And he says that most of the time they run in parallel with each other. In other words, the devotee pursues the material life in such a way that it is favorable for the spiritual life. In this way, there's no harm. There's gradual advancement in Krishna consciousness. But occasionally, these two become contradictory to each other. In other words, a devotee's material desires actually become an hindrance on the spiritual path. In that situation, Prabhupada says, one should not worry. Krishna will make that devotee wholesome again. He uses the word wholesome. Very nice word. He makes him whole. See, right now we're torn. We're like someone with feet on two boats. One boat here, one boat. And we're trying to row, and most of the time the boats are going together. But over some time, these boats start to separate because of some current. Or sometimes Krishna makes them separate, and then we have to choose which way I want to jump. And Krishna ensures that we jump in the right direction. He'll give us a push. Sometimes we fall into the water. This is called, this is the verse, api chet suduracharo. Right? Sometimes we fall into the water. But Krishna says, don't worry, kshipram bhavati dharmatma. Krishna very quickly helps us get better. So we have to just stay engaged in the process. And then Krishna, he ensures, he'll give us choices. And he'll help us move in the direction of becoming wholesome in our bhakti, of choosing that process of bhakti.
So Prabhuji, Krishna helps everyone to choose the right boat?
Yes, he helps everyone, but he helps us especially according to our desire. Right? If we have a desire to advance, then Krishna says, okay, I will help you with that process of advancement. So here's one little challenge for you. And I know you can do this one. You can win this challenge. And then he'll give us another one and another one. And without realizing, in the space of 10, 15, 20 years, we will advance in bhakti. Our desire for material enjoyment will start to decrease, and our desire for Krishna consciousness will increase. And this is a fact. If we look back in our life, 10, 15, 20 years, you'll find that the same things that you were very attached to, now you're not so much attached to anymore. Right? And then we know that Krishna is helping us make progress. Yes, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Prabhu, you were speaking about the great souls who walked with us. So this remembrance of them, and we think that what great mercy they have given to us. Just like Prabhupada has given great mercy to all the living entities. So this thing we have to put in our mind. Not only he walked with us, but he gave us the very best knowledge that we should all be attracted to Krishna. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you. That's a wonderful reminder and very nice comment as well. Thank you. Okay, the bell has rung. Thank you all so much for your attention here. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanandi Hari Hari Bol.